Welcome here to coverage of the Australian Sportscar Pro Am series. This is round one of the series and we're at the Suzuka circuit in Japan for this one, and it's the start of season 3. We're just having a look at the last dying moments of the warm-up session here, and we've got a few cars still making their way onto the track to take advantage of what's probably about the last 30 seconds of this session. So yeah, it probably highlights what a demanding track this is, and everyone trying to get as much practice time as possible. Let's have a quick look at the classes that run in this championship. So first of all, we have the Daytona Prototype Open class featuring the Chevrolet Corvette C7. Then we have the GT1 Open class featuring the Aston Martin DBR9 GT1 car. Now those two cars are quite close on pace, so 75 kilograms of weight is added to the GT1s just to keep those two separated a little bit. Then we have our GT3 class. We have Pro Am. So Pro class is for any driver who's ever had an I rating above 2500, and Am class is for all other drivers in GT3. So those two classes have an I rating restriction, but the open classes do not. So let's have a look at the track for tonight. So the Suzuka circuit in Japan, just southwest of Nagoya City, 17 turns, a fantastic fast flowing technical circuit. In terms of passing opportunities, turn 1 is probably the best bet, as well as the final chicane, turns 15, 16. But there are also opportunities for those gained probably at turn 8, turn 11 and turn 13. But yeah, fantastic opportunities for overtaking here, and because of its technical nature, it lends itself to drivers making mistakes and opportunities being there also for overtaking. So let's have a look at the starting grid for tonight's race. So on the pole for TTL we have Josh Rogers setting a time of 1 minute 51.5 in the DP, and alongside him we have Zachary Hanlon, of course last season's series championship winner in the DP, setting a time of 1 minute 52.0. Then on row 2 we have Jason Hyde for Performance Motorsports, new to the series, and then Troy Maguire for Blackadder Motorsports in 4th. On row 3 we have Blake Neck, also new to the series, and Scott Kozlowski. And finally finishing up the DP class we have Brown Tucker there on row 4. Moving on to the GT1 class now, we have Michael Schreier taking the pole there with a 1 minute 54.0 for Synergy Sim Racing. Then alongside him, or actually on the next row, we have Michael Hammond for Laser Racing, of course last season's series champion. And then we have newcomer Samuel Lambert alongside Michael on row 6 for GWM Racing. Next we have Paul Mansell for IRFF and Scott Goodman rounding out the GT1 field for KRF Motorsports, moving from GT3 to GT1 this season. Then on row 8 we have the first of the GT3 cars, and it's Joshua Burden taking the pole there in the BMW Z4 GT3, setting a time of 1 minute 59.0, and alongside him Aaron Osborne. He of course was the pre-season round winner, setting a 159.1. Then on row 9 we have Adam Funslow, last season's series champion, the GT3 Pro, setting a time of 1 minute 59.2 in Mercedes-AMG GT3, and alongside him Dylan Shepherd. On row 10 we have Warren Pickering and then Braith Morrow for Blackadder Motorsports. On row 11 we have the first of the Audis with Brenton Hobson for Synergy Sim Racing, setting a time of 1 minute 59.7. And alongside him Richard Brookfield, last season's runner-up in the GT3 Pro class. On row 12 we have Tim Ballinger, and then we have the first of our GT3 AM drivers, Alexander Sheridan for Blackadder Motorsports, setting a time of 2 minutes 0.2 seconds in a BMW Z4 GT3. Next we have Scott Stevens for FSR GT Amiga Racing, followed by TJ Brown on row 13, and then on row 14 we have newcomers Scott Party and Stefan Decker. On row 15 we have Scotty Harris, followed by the first of the LMPI cars, Neil de Bruin. On row 16 we have Jason Martin, followed by Matt Zimmerman. On row 17 we have Jeffrey Price and Derek Nichols. Then we run into the drivers who either had a penalty or didn't set a time. So first of all we've got Heath Brennan there on row 18, and then Grant Hines with a 2 minutes .3 there, which would otherwise have been a very competitive time there on the outside of row 18. On row 19 we have Josh Nowak, and he's had some technical difficulty there, so not entirely sure why he's in that position there, because his time would be good for 5th in GT3, so a bit unfortunate there for Josh. And then finally we've got Ben Wilkinson, who set a time in qualifying but isn't starting the race. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the highlights from the race as the pace car starts to move off on this very short warm-up lap we have here with Suzuka. It's not even a lap, it's just a few corners, as we see Josh Rogers lead the field there into the final chicane. Got 7 cars in the Daytona prototype class tonight, followed by 5 in GT1, and then another 23 in the GT3 classes, making a total field size of 35 for tonight, which is quite a nice size really. As the pace car peels off, we see the DP cars about to take the green flag, and now we've got it. Quite a bit of action on lap 1. A couple of turn 1 excursions, the first of which was Samuel Lambert, followed by Neil de Bruin in the LMTI car shortly later. Probably the biggest drama though on lap 1 was between the two GT1 leaders. Here we got Michael Schreier leading, but Michael Hammond on the outside there, a little bit of contact, and then around goes Michael Schreier. Let's have a look at it again from the chopper. Or some will say, did Michael Schreier leave enough room there? And others will say, should Michael Hammond have even been there in the first place? So you decide. But one thing's for sure, that's probably deleted one of the great battles that was going to take place in this race. Lap 2 now, and as Josh Burden continues to lead in GT3, we're looking at Scott Stevens here, who also takes an exit at turn 1, just running a little bit wide there, but losing quite a lot of track position in that one. Still on lap 2 here, and we're watching Jeffrey Price in the green Audi number 97. Just losing the back end of it here, coming through turn 9, getting a bit too much of that curb. The Audis don't really like that, and taking a knock on the rear. Let's have a look at that from Heath Brennan's perspective as he was following Jeffrey Price at the time. And just nowhere for Heath to go in that instance. So at the start of lap 3 here, let's have a run through the field and just see where everyone has settled at this point. Josh Rogers still continues to lead, DP open with Zachary Hanlon, not far behind though, in second place. Third we have Jason Hyde for Performance Motorsports, sitting there in the number 17. And then followed by Blackadder Motorsports' Troy Maguire. Blake Neck sits in 4th next, and made that 5th. So quite evenly spaced there in DP at the moment. Next along the line we have Scott Cisłowski, and then Brant Tucker in P7 in DP at the moment. Following him closely is Michael Hammond, the leader of GT1 in the laser racing entry. Then we have Paul Mansell, second in GT1 at the moment for IRFF Racing. And following him is Scott Goodman for KRF. Then we have the first of the GT3 cars. It's Josh Burden here leading GT3 and GT3 Pro class, or as Adam Funslow has a near miss there in the background. Second place is Aaron Osborne there, the privateer and the pre-season round winner. And Adam Funslow, you just saw, have a little off and recovery there, currently running 3rd. He's followed by Dylan Shepherd in another Mercedes AMG GT3, so they're filling positions 2nd through 4 at the moment. Then we have Braith Morrow in the 2nd of the BMWs for Blackadder Motorsports, currently 5th. 6th is Tim Ballinger, another privateer, sitting there and starting to put the pressure on Braith a little. Then we have Richard Brookfield sitting there in 8th for GT3. Sorry mate, that's 7th. Now we're looking at Alexander Sheridan here. He's the first of the GT3 Am cars. Currently 19th position overall. Now we have Scott Party also running GT3 Am, and then TJ Brown in the first of the Audis, always going to take that position, so he'll move into that 19th place there. Then we have Michael Schreier coming back through the field. He's currently listed as position 22, and that's 4th in GT1 at the moment. Following him we have Stefan Decker running in GT3 Pro, currently 21st overall. Following him we have Matt Zimmerman in the first of the LMTI cars in position 24 overall. And applying the pressure to him at the moment is Grant Hines. He's moving up through the field. He had a end of line penalty for incorrect car number. Expect him to move through the field throughout this race. Next in P26 we have Scott Stevens. He's also recovering through the field after that off on lap 2. Next we have his teammate Heath Brennan. So yeah, another FSR GT Omega racing entry, currently running P27 overall at the moment. Then we have Jason Martin entered as a privateer in the number 93 Audi there, currently P28 overall. Following him is Brenton Hobson. So he's met with some calamity also. He was the highest placed Audi on the grid and now sitting, says 23rd overall, but that must be closer to 30th overall, now being positioned behind Jason there. So it looks like he's met with the wall at some point, running in GT3 Pro, car number 65. Next we have Neil de Bruin, and of course we saw him go off on lap 1, turn 1 there, and showing a bit of wing damage there. Will he pit to get that repaired or hang on to the fuel stop later on in the race? We'll have to see. He's just skipped pit lane at the moment, so maybe he'll continue on till the fuel stop later in the race. Currently listed as P29 overall. Scotty Harris currently sitting there in the pits. Looks like he hasn't completed any laps at all in this one, so maybe sitting it out. Next we have Samuel Lambert just crossing the line to start lap 5. He's currently listed as position 30 at the moment. Here we have Warren Pickering, currently listed as P31 overall, and he started from pit lane, I believe. Qualified quite well in GT3 Pro and moving up through the field at the moment. Derek Nichols there, currently listed as P32 overall, making a pit stop. And he's underway again there. It's not really clear why Derek Nichols was making a pit stop at that point. Maybe he was doing his fuel stop already, not sure. Brenton Hobson though, here's a replay of how he lost a few positions. Again, a victim of turn 1. Lovely drift there, and Grant Hines just avoiding making contact there as well, so nice save by him. On the end of lap 8 here, and we're following Josh Rogers on the blimp cam. This is about to start lap 9. Let's go on board and have a look at him complete one lap around Suzuka. Great to see Josh working away at the wheel there, the current leader overall and in the DP class. At the start of lap 11 here, let's do the same for second place GT3 Pro driver Aaron Osborne. So going on board. And up ahead there is Josh Burden, the current GT3 Pro leader. That was one lap on board with Aaron Osborne, currently second in GT3 Pro as he chases down Josh Burden. This is lap 27 here, and we're following Josh Burden, the GT3 Pro leader. And at that point he had a connection drop, and you can almost hear him screaming from here. It's bad enough having one of those at any point, but leading and also within the last few minutes of the race, that must be really heartbreaking for Josh. So in the dying few minutes of this race, let's have a run through the field again. So we're watching our overall leader and leader in the DP class, Josh Rogers. He's had a strong race from the pole today, and currently he's just starting lap 30. Next on track we have Braith Morrow here, running in position 12 overall. That's second in the GT3 class, having a solid run. GT3 Pro, that is. Next we have Richard Brookfield, also in GT3 Pro, position 13 overall. So those two there are fighting for position, probably about a 3-second gap there at the moment. Neil de Bruin is next on track, P28 overall. Had a couple of dramas tonight for LMTI. Adam Funslow next on track, P14, and P15 Dylan Shepard. So those guys having a battle right to the end. The GT3 Pro drivers running the Mercedes AMG GT3, both of them. Scott Sislowski next on track, currently 6th overall. And Paul Mansell next in position 7. Scott Stevens currently listed as P16 overall, the GT3 Pro in the BMW Z4. And closely following him is Grant Hines, and he's the GT3 Am leader at the moment, so a strong comeback drive for Grant today. Next we have Tim Ballinger, currently listed as P19, and Alexander Sheridan as 18, so it looks like those two have changed positions on this lap. So Alex is currently second in GT3 Am, so solid run for him. Next is Scott Goodman, currently P8 overall in GT1 for KRF Racing. And Michael Schreier chasing him down in P9 overall for Synergy Sim Racing. So let's see whether he can get the job done in the last couple of laps of this race. Next is Zachary Hanlon, P2 overall and second in the DP class. So next on track is Jason Martin, P28 overall, the privateer there in the Audi. And following him is Troy Maguire, P3 overall in the DP. Next on track, Scott Pardy, position 21 overall in GT3 Am. And then Matt Zimmerman, P22. Blake next on track in P4 overall in the DP, followed by Warren Pickering, sans bonnet, currently listed as P20 overall, running in GT3 Pro in the Mercedes. Next on track, Stefan Decker, P24 overall, a little bit of front end damage on that car. And then Heath Brennan in the BMW Z4 GT3, currently P23. So all those guys there battling for a position. Then Michael Hammond, P5 overall, and the GT1 leader as he's about to start lap 31. And then we come back to Josh Rogers. TJ Brown there, just been lapped by Josh Rogers, currently listed as P25 overall in the Audi. And there we have Aaron Osborne, position 10 overall, now our GT3 leader. So the white flag is out now. We've on our 32nd lap here in this hour-long race, and we're watching Josh Rogers as he comes through 130 for the final time, heading towards the final chicane there. Michael Hammond just ahead. So another solid run by Josh. And here's Aaron Osborne, current GT3 Pro and GT3 overall leader, position 10 overall. A good solid drive from him, but gee, bad luck for Josh Burden today, who did look to have that class all wrapped up. Here's Grant Hines. He's the GT3 Am leader, currently P16 overall, just coming through the chicane for the final time. And finally, Michael Hammond, GT1 leader, P5 overall. Just coming on to the back straight for the final time. So let's have a look at the results from tonight's race. So taking the win in the DP class and overall was Josh Rogers for TTL, another strong run by him from the pole. Next we had Troy Maguire for Blackadder Motorsports, car number 28 finishing second, and Zachary Hanlon rounding out the podium for DP for Evolution Racing Australia, car number 1. Then we had Blake Neck for Forerunner Motorsports, fourth in DP Open. Then we had the first of our GT1 cars. Michael Hammond took the win there for Laser Racing in car number 57, and then Scott Cieslowski, fifth in the DP class. Second in GT1 was Paul Mansell for IRFF Next Level Racing, and then Michael Schreier, who you have to say had a bit of bad luck tonight for Synergy Sim Racing, finishing third in GT1, rounding out the podium. Then we had fourth Scott Goodman for KRF Motorsports. And then Aaron Osborne, the winner in GT3 Pro in the Mercedes-AMG GT3, car number 73, another strong result for him. Next we had Braith Morrow for Blackadder Motorsport, car number 67, second in GT3 Pro, good run for him in the first of the BMW Z4 GT3s. Then we had Richard Brookfield rounding out the GT3 Pro podium for IRFF ILEC Motorsports. His teammate followed next, and that's Adam Funslow, fourth in GT3 Pro. And then Dylan Shepherd, fifth for FSR TPR Engineering. Sixth for GT3 Pro was Scott Stevens for FSR GT Omega Racing. Then we had the first place car in the GT3 Am class, and that was Grant Hines for Performance Motorsports, car number 77. A strong run from him, considering he came from the back of the grid. Then we had GT3 Pro, seventh place car of Tim Ballinger. Next was second in GT3 Am, and that's Alexander Sheridan for Blackadder Motorsport. And then rounding out the GT3 Am podium was Scott Pardy for FSR GT Omega Racing. Fourth in GT3 Am and the first of the Audi R8 LMSs was Matt Zimmerman for LMTI, car number 92. Next we had Warren Pickering for Redback Racing, the 8th place car in GT3 Pro, and then Stefan Decker in GT3 Pro, also the privateer, car number 62. Rounding out the top 10 in GT3 Pro was Heath Brennan for FSR GT Omega Racing. Then we had TJ Brown from Nutters Motorsports, 5th in GT3 Am. 6th in GT3 Am, Neil de Bruin in the second of the LMTI cars, car number 70. And then another Audi R8 LMS, Jason Martin, the privateer, car number 93. Now next, Josh Burden, terrible luck he had tonight after leading strongly from the pole, had that internet disconnect with only a few minutes left, and yeah, heartbreaking result for him, 11th in GT3 Pro, but good on him for getting back into the race and trying to salvage as many points as possible. The next cars all ran to a few dramas, I think. So Jason Hyde, 6th in the DP class for Performance Motorsports. Then Derek Nichols for Tryhard's Motorless Motorsport, car number 94, finished 8th in GT3 Am. 12th in GT3 Pro, Brenton Hobson for Synergy Sim Racing, car number 65. Then Samuel Lambert, Brant Tucker, Jeffrey Price, Scotty Harris and Josh Nowak rounded out the 35 cars that took part in tonight's race. So let's have a look at what's next on the schedule. So it's a 7-race season. This was round 1. Next is round 2 in a couple of weeks' time. We've got Monza, fantastic track. Hopefully we see some great racing again there. Then we'll move on to Nürburgring after that to continue the European leg. Thanks for joining us tonight. This has been the Australian Sportscar Pro Am series. If you want to get involved and race yourself, get along to the iRacing forums, the Australian road racing page there. You'll find details about the series and how to enter. Alternatively, get along to lmti.freeforums.net and information about the series can be found there also. Thanks for joining us tonight. Catch you next time.